And we are a go. Oh, and hello and welcome to the Plank Podcast. And tonight is March 17th of 2025. I can't believe it's in the middle of March. You got a month left before tax season. Gross, that's all I can say. And today we have the one, the only Anthony Lamb of Maul, at least of Maul.
Maul's my main thing, yeah, band-wise.
Let's say tribute.
Yeah.
Nah. We'll figure out a good word for you by the end of this all. But I am Mr. S from Pirate on Cassette, and we are missing the other two today, but that's okay. It'd just be me, Mr. Anthony, and I just have to say hi. So I know we just talked for a second here. It was like I couldn't remember if I met you or not, and it turns out that we both played in a red dirt country band named of Irish Whiskey.
Yeah, shout out Irish Whiskey.
It is. Shout out to those, Reese and Jay. I miss you guys. Yeah. I really do. So all your banter and everything else. And we might talk a little bit about that as we go along here. But basically, I've learned that Mr. Anthony here has a podcast of his own named of what?
My podcast is called The Jam with Lamb. I interview kind of guitarists and musicians, artists, photographers that work in like the music industry, kind of around the U.S.
Very nice. Very nice. You know, Nathan Peeler had something similar to that. He was interviewing all these national or, metal people.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed at how he could get a hold of them, and they were just cool to talk to and everything else. So he was actually, for my old podcast, he was number one. He was the first one on just because he had some experience. So I was like, okay, let's try this out. And it worked out really great. I still have photos of him and everything else. So Peeler, shout out to you. So miss you, man.
Yeah, this last tour we did was the first time I've like brought a mobile setup to do a podcast, and it was definitely challenging. I tried to do it in our bus. We have like a transit bus, and it's pretty good in the bus because it is pretty soundproof with all the stuff we got in there. But you can still hear trains and planes and car alarms. Like,
well, how's the internet connection doing all that? Because the only ones that I've done outside of this was actually at a school or a couple of schools. And we just connected straight to the
I just
internet.
record my audio basically, and then I release the episodes later, normally like a few weeks after I record them. So
I gotcha.
I'm always like a little behind my own schedule, so to speak. And I don't really have like a set schedule. I kind of release stuff whenever, if I interview an artist and then I see they're kind of, oh, we got a new song or something coming out, I'll like try to get that episode out,
Very good.
Help the hype.
That's basically what it is. You got to get out there and do this stuff. People always ask me, is like, why did you want to start a podcast in the first place? And I just say, why doesn't everybody do this? It doesn't
it's fun.
Yeah. It's not easy, but
It gets easier the longer once you start kind of getting a system in place. Yeah.
Exactly. Just fun talking into a microphone, I think. I don't know. Even though I'm the dumb drummer in the back. So, but I have a question that I thought of earlier today when I was going through and doing a bunch of invites and stuff like that. But it's basically, I'll ask you, Anthony, and I was going to ask everyone else who was here, is it distasteful or somewhat, not good to unfriend people that have perished in the past, have died and everything else? So I was going through and I don't know. Maybe it's getting old. Maybe I'm getting old and starting looking at it. But then you just start going over friends that are no longer with us, and it's like, no, that's a kind of a waste of an invite. And then it's, there's those times that you'll sit there and you'll be like, happy birthday, and then my twin brother will get a hold of me. He's like, they died, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, hi. So what do you think?
I definitely do kind of unfriend people, I guess, if it's someone I don't really know. I mean, if it is I definitely have homies that pass away, and sometimes I will go on their profile, and like kind of check out some of the old memories, you know what I mean? But for the most part, if it is like just kind of like a general acquaintance, because I definitely have people on my probably like 50% of the people on my Facebook are just acquaintances I met on the road once or whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, it kind of depends, I guess, on how close I was to the person.
Yeah, I get that, but this one specifically was Brian Grob, and I know
Sure.
he's got the tribute stuff coming up here. R.I.P. Brother Brian. I know you probably met him, I'm sure,
Yeah.
and everything else, but he was notorious of, I don't know, losing his Facebook something credentials, whatever. I don't know.
Sure.
There's like I got 18 Brian Grobs on
Yeah,
my thing, and
that's funny.
I was going through there, and I was accidentally hitting a few, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I actually got put in Facebook jail for like a month over a Dr. Phil meme.
Dr.
It
Phil
was a
meme?
Dr. Phil meme, yeah. Which is funny because, like, you know, that's not even like the worst thing I've ever in my opinion. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like I feel like, especially nowadays, Facebook just has certain things will like auto flag whether it's a word or whatever, or if it's like a certain image. I feel like it was literally just because of how the image looked with Dr. Phil, like they banned it. Because the thing I got hit with was that it said I was trying to sell sexual services, which I wasn't. You know
With
what I mean?
Dr.
That's
Phil.
not what it was at all. Yeah, but it's like I couldn't appeal it. You know what I mean? So
Interesting.
it was pretty funny. So yeah, I got Facebook jail for 30 days for trying to promote my Dr. Phil OnlyFans, I guess.
Oh
But
my God.
but
Was it an OnlyFans thing?
no.
Okay.
But for some reason, that's what it got flagged for. I don't know. It had to be something within the meme itself. It was literally just like Dr. Phil leaning against a window, and then had like a caption. You know, it was nothing like sexual or anything. But
Oh man.
Facebook didn't like it. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. 30 days, which is crazy, but whatever.
No, I haven't had that type of problem yet. I know every time. Well, there's been times where I throw out too much advertising on the free side.
Yep.
And then they kind of give me warnings. That's
Yeah.
as far as I got. But let's talk about Maul here for a moment. How did this all start, and when did it start, and all that other fun stuff?
So Maul started in 2017. It started with Garrett, Robbie, and I. We kind of just Robbie borrowed a drum set from a buddy of ours, and he had never played drums before.
Always borrowing drum kits.
Yeah, he had never played drums before, so we literally threw up the mattress on the side of the wall, like put up his bed, flipped it up in his bedroom, and jammed in there, just him and I. And Garrett, our vocalist, kind of was watching us jam a little bit. And once we got like 2 or 3 riffs kind of connected with drums, I remember Garrett kind of looked at me and we were like, yeah, this is how bands start, bro. And then, it kind of just progressed from there. And Robbie just kind of kept getting better as a drummer the more he kind of played and practiced. And
Funny how that works.
I drum like a little bit. I'm more of like I don't really do like metal type drumming. I can play like, in a rock band or like a cover band. I could like fill in, but I do like single pedal, normal drums. I do a little double
I
pedal.
like that. I'm gonna keep that
I mean?
one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I can do a little double pedal, but for me it's kind of I can't keep like a steady double kick. I'm more of like a short burst, like fill type guy. Yeah.
That's how it starts. And how you guys doing these days then?
Good. We got a lot of stuff cooking up for this year. We're leaving for tour next Tuesday, I want to say.
Oh, very cool. Where's the tour going to?
This time we're starting over. I believe we're starting kind of over in New York, and then we work our way. We're playing that
East Coast.
Yep, we're playing
Nice.
Decibel Metal and Beer Fest with some pretty crazy bands. And then we're doing like a few days. I want to say it's like 5 or 6 days in Canada. Then we're kind of coming back down and working our way back this way, back home. But yeah, so we're kind of dancing around the border basically this time. And then in May we have a full U.S. run, which is basically like the entire month of May.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So I was in the metal scene. It's kind of not the same as where you're coming from because you guys seem way more established than anything I've ever been in. But it's like it was before the internet and all the other fun stuff. And I just like, how do you guys hook up with so much? But then you see like a bunch of bands from downtown, and it's usually the metal guys. And you guys are going to Europe and all over the place. And I'm just like, how did you get connected with all this? Like, oh, well, I'm not going to blame the internet. I'm sure there's got to be a little footwork involved in there as well.
It's definitely, I mean, we try to get bands through here, and then, they take care of us when we're in their neck of the woods. And sometimes it is just like, you meet a promoter. Like sometimes promoters will come to a show to check you. Like we've had that happen where, especially like we haven't been to Europe yet, but we're definitely trying to make it there soon. And we did have like a run in Europe lined up, but we ended up having to drop it because that was when we signed to 20 Bucks Spin. So instead of touring, we kind of went straight into writing our second album. So that kind of changed our gears a little bit. But
gotcha.
That guy that set up that European tour for us, though, we met him on the road. I want to say in Florida. He like came to a show, wanted to see it in person before he kind of started wanting to work with us. And yeah, he kind of books like, I don't know, I would say like mid-sized tour. It's not like crazy giant stadium tours by any means, but it's like, yeah, if you were trying to play some kind of club type venues, you could get in there. Europe's one of those things where it's like we want to get over there because America is actually like our number 4 country, like on Spotify. It's not even like number 1. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. England is actually one of our top listened countries. Yeah, stuff like that. I definitely, there's certain countries I would like to go to because I feel like people would come out.
Well, that's what I've always heard is that Europe's a lot more into metal and progressive type music.
Yep.
Nowadays, well, probably not even nowadays. You talk about Frank Zappa and those guys. They toured Europe all the time because that was the place to be. And then we got the Beatles.
Yeah.
So that's how that worked.
That's funny.
But no, that's very cool. So how many albums you guys got out?
We only have 2 full-length albums right now. We do have one album that's basically a compilation as well. So there's technically 3, if you want to be technical about it. The compilation album's not like a LP. That's kind of more of some of our past EPs combined, which that compilation album was done through a label in Germany, I believe, actually. That one's called Torment of Gallery, or Gallery of Torment. And then our first album is
out
called,
of Germany?
Yep.
How did they find you?
That's a great question, man. I have no idea. I think that is one of those.
Nice.
That is one of those, it's kind of like someone hears you and then they kind of just reach out. Like, I'm pretty sure he reached out and was like, hey, I'd like to do this for you guys. And we were like, hell yeah, brother. Like, and we did like a very short run of vinyl for that. And then some tapes as well, like cassette tapes.
Oh, cool. You keep some for yourself, I'm hoping?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Very good.
I have like a little collection of all our Maul stuff in my basement. That's my retirement, is to sell my Maul collection.
There you go. So I found one of my old DVD, or not DVDs, CDs on eBay.
Yeah.
Like a year ago, and we recorded that thing in 1999. And this guy was trying to sell it for like $60 or something. I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Contact him." Like, "Where'd you find this in the first place?" Because the last one I found was literally. You remember that CD store that was in Moorhead? I can't remember the name of it. It's closed down for about a year, maybe 2 years now.
I don't know.
Time flies, but there's like a used CD DVD store, and they had one in the discount rack for $2.
Nice.
And I had posted that
That's
up
funny.
when I found it. But yeah, no, so I completely get that. And then listening back to that stuff 20 years later, it's a trip. You're just like, oh, I did that.
Doing,
I was that skinny. Oh my god, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you got vinyl for both then, or just the first one?
We have vinyl for all of them, yeah.
Nice.
And then we did vinyl for one of our EPs as well, our Monarchy of Maulnd EP, which is 4 songs and like an interlude song.
Cool. So just get into the nerdy nitty-gritty of just being in bandom. It's like, what sells better? Is like physical media sell better, or is there Spotify stuff? Do you have singles and stuff that you sell on there?
I mean, I feel like physical media is definitely always the way to go to get money straight in your pocket as a musician.
Amen.
A lot of the, once you kind of get on like a label, they're really taking a lot of the online sale.
Gotcha.
You're getting like a small fraction of that. I mean, so yeah, when we get physicals, we keep a lot more of the physical media aspect of it, like the profit, you know what I mean? And we still do. I mean, CDs actually aren't super popular, I would say. It's a lot of vinyl, a lot of cassette. People still buy cassettes, especially like death metal heads, like buying cassettes.
That's what it's been looking like. Is like people look for the novelty stuff. I've even seen people put things onto like high 8s and stuff like that. And like,
we were talking about doing that actually with like
nice.
There's a magazine that wanted to do like an 8 insert, basically, one of those little flexies.
Yeah.
We're talking about doing that potentially.
Oh, cool.
I would love to do. One thing I want to do, which might be a spoiler here, we'll see if it happens. But and the next time we release something, I want to do the old school where you set up the telephone line and just post the phone number. And then if people call it, it's just the album 24/7.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember
that's
dude.
a great idea.
Yeah, that's one thing I definitely want to do. I saw a band like a year or two ago, like a hardcore punk band did that, and they didn't post anything. It was just they posted the phone number, and I called it, and I listened to their album, and I was like, heck yeah, dude.
Oh,
It had been so long since I had something like that.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, because I know my little lady upstairs, we were watching Young Sheldon. They give out the number every once in a while.
Yep.
And if you call that number, it actually goes to their answering machine.
Wow.
So the Coopers will answer you.
That's funny.
On Young Sheldon there. So I don't know. Just a segment into there. But say, I got some trivia for you guys. So here we go. That one. Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting I put this on there on purpose because I always forget to promote it. Drummer's Journey every Wednesday evening, 5:30 to 7. You can join me and a bunch of others with it's a drum practice pad circle. So it's basically like exercising your hands and everything else. So I call it, 'cause it's more of a yoga class and a drum circle.
Yep.
But, it's fun. I bring candy. We watch some videos.
Nice.
Just a nice little community thing going on there.
Culturally appropriate drum circle.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Culturally appropriate.
You have my permission, dude.
With gum rubber and lots of wood. My one stick is still broken. All right. So we got the top 5 songs in mid-March of why do I have 2025 on there? But it's mid-March of 1984.
Man.
Can we find out what number 5 is?
This is before my time, so I don't know.
This is what makes it fun because you have no
Probably
idea.
Michael Jackson.
Okay.
How old was Michael in 84?
1984. I couldn't
still,
tell
like,
you his
teens,
age,
wasn't
but
he?
he was definitely in his prime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So probably Michael Jackson.
Okay, so number 5, you're saying
Let's
Michael
see.
Jackson?
Let's see.
And all you out there, no cheating now. That Google machine. Oh,
Ooh.
Footloose by Kenny Loggins
Should have known
was
that.
number 5 in 1984. That was 41 years ago. And I can tell you a lot about 1984 because I still remember it.
It's one of my favorite songs to remix when I'm DJing weddings, actually.
The Footloose song?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Footloose is
Everyone
a great,
loves
it's
it.
a great one to start just normal, and then like the second half, you just start spicing it up a little bit.
Do you ever go back and watch the movie?
Sometimes, yeah.
The old
I
school
love
one?
that movie.
Yeah.
I'm
And you
a
sit
big,
there
I'm a
and
big
you-
movie guy, so.
Oh, me too. Oh, I got to show you my Laserdisc collection then before you leave. Yeah, this
Heck
place
yeah.
is like a man cave.
When we were in Texas, we watched Halloween on Laserdisc.
Oh, I still need to find that one. People
walked
ask
into-
ridiculous prices.
We
for
walked
that.
into homie's house, and I saw the player, and I was like, is this real? Does this work?
Oh,
I was like, fired up, dude.
no, I just got some of the classics like Back to the Futures and
Nice.
RoboCop. And
Nice. Did you watch the RoboCop remake?
Yes, I did.
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen like
The
little.
one from like 10 years ago now.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen like little parts of it, but I've never watched that one.
Yeah,
I think they're making it again.
that's what I've heard too.
Yeah.
And I'm just leave it alone.
Right.
You're not gonna
Right.
you're not gonna recapture that.
That's movies nowadays, man. It's just reused movie
I'd buy
ideas.
that for $1. Exactly.
But
And all the Ghostbusters and all that other fun stuff. I'll show it to you before I leave. There's a lot back there.
nice.
It looks. Everyone always thinks they're records. But now you got me on a real off track here. But it was basically you're on tour, so do you have T-shirt sales and stuff too? Then
Yep.
is
yep.
that usually what keeps you moving on the road there? Or
Definitely. Merch is definitely the lifeblood of any band. I feel like, and like what we do is, we started with just one black shirt with a white logo on it, and then
you see it around town all the time.
Yeah, and then once you sell those shirts, you just reinvest for 2 shirts, and then you keep reinvesting in your merch. Next thing you know, you'll have a whole table of stuff. But we do kind of mix it up too. Like we do have little smaller items, like. We sell like rolling papers, like Maul rolling papers. We sell like we have a homie that makes a hot sauce for us, so we have our own like line of hot sauce actually.
Oh my god!
Little things like that. A lot of people like the hot sauce.
At least you're not in
actually.
the coffee yet.
Yeah, not yet. But
Maul coffee.
but yeah,
Yeah, I knew you're heavy metal. I finally watched a video of you before you came, and
Mhm.
it was like how guttural the sound was, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember
yeah.
those days.
Garrett definitely mixes it up quite a bit, but he definitely keeps it. The death growl is kind of the
Yeah, it's a
token.
talent in
Yep.
itself. There's
I can't do it.
It's a technique that's involved, and most people cannot do it. I know I cannot do it, but been around many people who could.
Yeah. He's been practicing that since he was like 13. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and then they had the circle pits going on
Yeah.
and the slam dancers, which where'd those slam dancers come from?
Yeah, right.
For about 10 years there, basically if I went to a concert, I didn't come out bleeding. I wasn't at the concert. So, how many pits do you get? Is that like a normal thing?
You know,
Do
it really depends
places
on.
Let people do that still?
Oh yeah, and it really kind of depends on where you're at. You know, I
That
feel
gives
like
me hope.
I feel like certain places we play, like, you know, if it's like an older crowd, sometimes you don't really see the pits. It's normally like the younger kids kind of getting a little crazy, but
Well, yeah.
it really also
I
depends on
was
the
way
crowd.
younger then.
You know what I mean? But I'm a big proponent of, you know, do whatever you want to do. Like, this is your time to show. You know, this show is our space together, and you know, if you want to mosh, if you want to chill in the back and headbang and throw up some horns, that's cool too.
There you go. The synergy and the energy together.
Yeah.
As I was watching another YouTube video, and they're talking about a guy, embarrassing moments, of course. And it was a guy who was playing for Alice Cooper, in front of 20,000 people, and he was walking down the stairs with like all sorts of like babies' heads and whatever else, and he slipped on the fake blood and just fell down the stairs. And all he had to do was raise his hands, and the entire crowd just went ape.
Yeah.
And it was like, you can do anything in front of 20,000 people. And you know what? The more people you do have in an audience, the better it always becomes. And it's not because that they're digging your music more or not. It's just, I don't know who sparks it off, or a mob mentality or what.
It really is, though.
Yeah.
Kind of just, it's like a fire gets ignited.
That's why I hate that slam dancing. People, stop it. You can't get near you. You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And it's like, I'm not a bit, I don't really care personally, but it's like, especially in like small spaces, it's, it is pretty dangerous. And it's like, that is like, I don't know, I feel like for our type of metal, like, yeah, you should be aware of where you're at, like in relation to, like, if there is a mosh pit, if you don't want to get hit, like, stay away from the pit, man.
Oh, I used to love the pits. That's all I did was search them out. And it was just cool is that you got in there, and if you went down, everyone was, it was a community. They just pulled you right back up, and you just kept on going until you got tired and you had to get out. But I think the worst one I've been in was called the Freakers Ball down in Texas, right outside of Dallas, Texas, like a Coca-Cola thing. I don't know. Ozzy Osbourne was headlining, and Sepultura was playing.
Nice.
And these people just went crazy. I didn't bruise back in those days, and I walked out with bruises. But these guys were going, they were going hard. They were ripping their shirts off. They're lighting it on fire, just whipping them around at the same time. It was freaking nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I love telling that story because no one really believes it. But I watch people get kicked out because I remember the guards coming by with the fire extinguishers, blowing everything out and pulling people out of there. It was nuts. And then Ozzy gets up there. Oh, God, who do you have drumming from? The drummer from Faith No More. You know what I'm talking about? Mike Bourdin.
Yes.
And oh, my God, that guy knows how to lay down a groove. Oh, yeah.
I saw Alice Cooper actually at Summerfest.
Alice Cooper.
Yeah, I saw him at Summerfest in Milwaukee, and it was funny because, like, he was supposed to play in, like, the amphitheater, and he just decided he wanted to play outside, so he ended up playing the largest stage outdoors, and I just so happened to be by that stage, like pretty close to the stage. So they were like, all of a sudden, I'm like waiting for this band, and it's like a lot of those bands I've never heard of. You're just kind of there. I don't know if you've ever been to Summerfest, but it's like $15-$20, and there's like 8-9 stages. So it's like a lot of different music, a lot of different genre. Every stage has like a different genre kind of going on.
Cool.
I normally hang out by like the Harley stage because that's where like a lot of the rock metal stuff is at.
Makes sense.
But I mean, I like listening to country and folk and all pop and EDM, all different types of stuff. But yeah, I'm like standing by the stage, and all of a sudden, like Alice Cooper walks out, and I'm like, what's going on? You know what I mean? And then Zakk Wylde was actually playing lead for him that night. So like Zakk comes out.
See Zakk Wylde
Yeah,
live.
and Zakk just comes out and he starts like whipping his hair back and forth. And they just busted right into the first song, rocking out. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, you know what I mean? It was so
This is how you put on a show, kids. Yes.
Yeah, it was so cool. And it was like, those tickets to see him were like, I don't know if like people got refunded because like it costs extra to go in the amphitheater thing. So it's like, I don't know if people like paid and then didn't get to see, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people were like in there or something, not, but I didn't pay to see him. I paid the $15 or whatever, but
whoops,
I felt pretty lucky.
Kind of reminds me, I saw Pantera down in, this is Dallas again, but the second time I saw him at the Target Center. I think it was a Target Center at the time.
Yeah.
First time. And then it was me and my roommate from Texas, old Joel Keeney. So shout out to Joel.
Shout out, Joel.
Yeah, if you're ever watching. And we were sitting up there, but it was like it's basically like going to a hockey game. You got all the seats all around, but they were down on the floor where the concrete was, and everyone started diving over the boards
Oh boy.
to get down to the floor. And he was really tempting me to do it. And I'm just like, dude, if we get caught, no. Me being the Minnesota nice guy. Yeah. So I talked us out of that.
Wow.
But that would have been crazy getting down to that pit.
Nice.
Because I was in the one in. It was just another pit story, just because you're making me reminisce about all this stuff.
I have a question for you.
Oh,
that I ask on my podcast.
Oh.
How about who was the first person you ever saw play guitar?
First
like
person?
in person, whether it was your uncle or a rock star on stage. Like, who was the first person you remember playing guitar in front of you?
Oh, interesting. First person playing guitar. I remember getting a guitar when I was 5, not knowing anything how to do with it.
Yeah.
But in person, I'd have to say my aunt.
Wow.
I think.
Shout out Auntie.
Yes, I remember. This wasn't a musical family by any means, but I know they were into the acoustic type stuff from the 70s.
Nice.
Whatever else I dared to say hippie stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that was it. 'Cause I always wanted a guitar, and then my mom got me one, or my parents got me one when I was 5, and then my friend down the street, this place used to be, I grew up in this house.
Yeah.
And I bought it for my dad 20 years ago or something.
Nice.
So they live out in the boonies.
Nice.
And I get stuck in here because this room spouted many a band out of this room. It used to be a practice room.
Wow.
And
a lot of magic.
Yeah, exactly. But we had like this open door thing, so everyone was in and out. This was the 80s and 90s. Oh, it was beautiful. Man, there's always socializing. There's always something going on.
Very cool.
Didn't need your phones.
Yeah.
And then, well, one day it got smashed over. I still remember it was in the other room, actually, right over a stool. They smashed my guitar. Not like we knew how to tune it or anything. But it was cool to have it.
I wanted a
Dukes
drum
of
set
Hazzard.
when I was a kid, but
drums
are so expensive, dude.
Oh, yuck!
My dad got me a guitar for like $75. I'm pretty sure. From
See,
like a
your
pawn shop.
dad was smart.
My dad actually played drums, so he played drums and guitar.
Knew.
But which is funny because like my dad and I actually only jammed like one time, and at the time he was like 300 some pounds. He was a big boy at the time, and he like sits down on my brother's drum set in the garage, and he was like, "Oh man, I haven't played for so long. I haven't touched his drum set for so long." And then he's throws his stick up and like catches it behind his back. I'm like, "Calm down, old man. Jesus, like, what are you doing right now? You're gonna pull some, dude."
Show you, youngins.
But it was pretty fun. Yeah, we just jammed like some A minor blues. You know what I mean?
Oh, see, but he knew better. So,
Yeah.
Peter or not Mr. Lord Wilbur from good old Pirate on Cassette.
Yep.
Was,
Shout out Peter.
His kid is really getting into the drums and stuff like that. And he's 5 years old, and I keep trying to push him, like, put a guitar in that kid's hand pretty soon.
I haven't seen that kid since it was like a baby.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure.
Old Simon.
Yeah.
And shout out to Simon there.
That's gonna be weird when I do see him again.
No.
I always love that when it's like, if you have like sometimes I have that where it's like I have 7 sisters, so yeah, sometimes they'll have a kid.
7?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes one of them will have a kid. I meet the kid like twice, and then next time I come back, it's been like 3-4 years, and they can talk.
It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. But I still didn't finish my story about Pantera when I was down the circle. And it was basically finding the circle pits down in the Target Center. And you'd think they'd be nuts. And yeah, they were. I mean, there was 2 or 3 of them going at one time. So you can just bounce back and forth. But I got into one, and for whatever reason, the guy must have been out of his mind on some illicit type stuff out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he literally, his finger was broken with a compound fracture. His bone was sticking out. He's bleeding all over the place. I'm screaming at him to get the hell out of here. And I was back in his old flannels and combat boots.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah. So just get out, and he's like, "No way, man. No way. This is awesome." And it's like, oh, he's going to get us all diseased. But, no. This is stuff you see down in the pit. I just got away, just went to the next pit over.
Yep.
And it was fine.
Speaking of Panera.
Panera?
Speaking of Pantera, like there was like one tour we did where I don't know why, or if it's just the vibe I give off or whatever, but like there was a tour we did where we would like, sometimes we'll crash at people's places instead of like sleeping at the bus or whatever.
Absolutely.
And we were staying, we'd be at like a homie's house, and like people would like bring me their Razorbacks, like their Dean Razorbacks. And I'm not a big Dean fan myself. It's just not my cup of tea. And it's just so funny because like people be like, "You check this out, man," and I'm like, "Oh, nice." And then there was one guy. It happened like 3 or 4 times, like in a row. And there was one guy we stayed with in Texas who actually had a ranch. And
did you have the pink beard going or something?
No, but there was a place we stayed in Texas, and homie actually did have one of Dime's guitars, like a real Dimebag guitar.
Of course.
And like took it out of. He had it like in a glass case on the wall, and like let me hold it, and like. I'm not gonna lie, I did feel like my dive bomb leveled up a little bit just touching it. You know what I
mean? Leveled up.
That one was pretty cool though. Like,
nice.
I don't know.
Oh, that's the cool thing. I had videos about Dimebag's guitars there for. It was over COVID. I don't know if it was his guitar tech or whatever. He just had stacks of them.
Yeah.
And they're just pulling them out and seeing what they still worked. Straight from the tour. They just threw them in a corner, and there they are. It's like, okay, I wish I had that kind of pull.
Yeah, I just switched to Jackson's. Actually, I play Jackson guitars mainly
with reverse headstock.
Yep, and then I also have I still have my Epiphone. I have an Epiphone Les Paul custom. That's kind of I use that a lot for like recording.
Just like that one, the picture that's right behind you.
Yep.
You can't see.
That's kind of my main tour guitar. I use that on tour for 6 years, 7 years.
Old faithful, huh?
Yep. It is definitely dying. Like there's several bad cracks. Like there's one going around the headstock. There's one going around the base of the neck, and it's a neck through. So it's like, yeah. There's like a crack going down my fret, like vertically down the fretboard, almost to my first fret from where the headstock is. So it's like my fretboard's like starting to like spread. It's definitely seen the road, brother.
It's well loved, but if you see what they've done to Trigger, if you know what Trigger is, yeah, they can fix anything,
right?
If they want to. But I'm going to ask you how you got into podcasting in the first place, other than that it's kind of fun.
So, I mean, I've done a little bit of like voice work actually, like commercial wise for small companies and things like that. So I
can hear that.
I've done like a little radio before, and it is just like one of those things I've always kind of thought about doing. Like I kind of thought about doing it a couple years back, but I never really got around to doing it. I used to work like a full-time job and stuff like that, and now I'm mainly music's my full-time gig now. So I definitely have, when I'm not playing gigs on tour, like I like DJ weddings. Like I have my own wedding business basically. And
gotcha.
So when I'm not, when I have my days free, that's kind of what I end up doing. Instead of like wasting it all playing video games or, doing something. I still play video games, but now instead of like 10 hours, I'll play video games for 2 hours and then work on the podcast. You know what I mean? Because there's definitely been times where we've been on the road, and I just like getting to know people, and
yeah, precisely. That's why I like doing this.
And especially like everyone has like a different journey through music, and the music industry is one of those. It's kind of like climbing a mountain, you know what I mean? I say it's hard, and some people give up, some people never give up, and then some people can afford to take a chopper to the top, you know what I mean? It's not all equal, but that's just reality.
It's a good visual imagery, I like it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I just kind of like learning about what got people into music, and then kind of how people got to the level they're at, especially like I have some friends that are like concert photographers for like crazy bands, you know what I mean? And it's like, how do you work your way to becoming like a tour photographer or becoming like a sound light tech person, things like that,
Precisely.
But yeah.
That's why I love doing this thing. Just get to meet people, you get to learn a little bit about everything and all that. Just a tug from Joe Rogan.
And I definitely have some what I would call like joke questions. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you got to. It's got to be entertaining.
I have like reoccurring questions. Like I like to ask people what their favorite Metallica album was. Metallica is one of the first metal bands that I kind of got me into playing guitar. I had the Black Album book. That was like the first thing I had to learn. This is back before you could just internet tabs. You know what I mean? And
see, my thing about the Black Album was when it came out, all of us purists back in those days was just like, what is
this?
Yeah. Why do we have this? But then they started putting that other crap out, and you're just like, oh, the Black Album wasn't so bad.
Yeah. Ride the Lightning is my favorite
Ride the Lightning. That was the first one I ever listened to.
That and like Master of Puppets, I would say probably, but
well, Puppets are at their peak with old Cliffy.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Cliff. But
yeah.
I got his video right up there.
Post Cliff is like a different Metaculate to me.
It
really is. It kind of, I don't know. You can hear it in the way they do everything, in my opinion.
I used to be just a Lars Ulrich lover. In this room, I had posters of him
Really?
and stuff. Yeah, he had like send away for him and everything else. And then they found Tempora. And,
nice.
I found Vinnie Paul compared to Lars. I was like, oh, wait. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong tree here, son. But
yeah, and my kind of journey into metal, I kind of got into metal just because of like, when I was starting to play guitar as a teenager, I kind of wanted to push myself and play things that were harder and harder. And the things that are harder and harder is like metal and jazz. You know what I mean? So it's like you're kind of either going to get to one or both of those points. And you'd be surprised how many like jazz musicians play metal or vice versa.
Well, that's what you hear about down in Nashville is that all the players down there are either old metalheads or jazz players that just want to get paid.
And I mean, once you do learn theory, you kind of realize like, music's music,
Oh yeah.
It doesn't really, the genres are all whatever, but it's
stylistic.
Like, if you can play, if you know how to play, you can play pretty much anything. Pretty much.
I like that attitude. Let's get back to, I keep hitting the wrong button here. Let's go to number 4 here. What's number 4? 1984 mid-March. What top song?
Gosh.
Number 4.
I have no idea.
Go back in that Rolodex.
If it was 85.
1985.
It's a different. Yep. I'm trying to think of like what was popping in 84.
They had the Olympics in Los Angeles back then.
Some Springsteen.
Springsteen? Any guess of Springsteen song?
Gosh, I don't know.
We're just going to leave it at Springsteen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that for you. Since we don't have anyone else
Let's
over here.
see.
Where's everybody else? It was 99 Luftballons by Nina.
Nice.
99 der Luftballons. And that was all in French, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I think so. But let's get back to it.
It's like a dark song, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Most of that stuff is dark. You sit there and pull it apart, and you're like, oh.
I'm like, oh, geez.
Oh. I'm pretty sure you've run into... Why can't I think of the name of the band? They're from up north. Another metal.
Like north of here?
Yes. John Huber's their singer. Why can't I think of the name? Shotgun Facelift.
Shotgun Facelift.
Yeah.
I was going to say Job for a Cowboy. Totally wrong band.
Shout out to John. We got to bring you back in here, John.
The Cowboy.
That guy blew my hair back. I don't know if you ever talked to him or talked to him in depth. You just get him into music lyrics, and he just pulls those things apart, and you're just like, what? What? I mean,
they're super talented.
Oh, man. He was just how do you even say it? It was it's like just meticulously explaining why they'd put like the certain syllables in the areas they did.
And I really appreciate that myself. I mean, some like vocalists, they're just kind of like, I mean, there is like a level of scat to it. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of when you're writing, that's kind of how I write vocals is like I'll kind of sing a melody before I put words on the melody, But that is one thing they were telling me is like, yeah, sometimes it is just like off a line, and then they'll know like syllable, like the syllables will kind of dictate where the riff is going, things like that.
Oh, exactly. So when I drum, I usually don't. I try not to play the exact same thing every night, even though it's cover tunes for the most part nowadays. Sorry, guys, got away from the original stuff, but we're starting to write originals again. So
nice.
We'll see what comes out. We had a couple of pretty interesting recordings that'll be coming out here pretty soon, but. It was Stuart Copeland, I believe, from The Police. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, he was doing an interview, and I never actually watched him. And he was, we were just listening to him on the way back from a show, and he was talking about just like how, when he was with Neil Peart, how the people would drum along with him during the fills, and he kept wondering. And he doesn't like playing in that style. Like just going out and just doing whatever happens. It's kind of more of a jazzy type thing, I'd guess. If you want to put a label on it.
Yeah.
And asked Neil how he got all the people just to drum along with him. And he's like, we got to play the same fill every night. So That's his whole thing. Now, granted, Neil Peart was also known for like 1 and 2 takes in the studio, and he was out, so that took longer to get the drum sounds and for him to actually record. But that's still an interesting thing. It's just how singers kind of do the same thing.
Just single hits to get that perfect hit.
Exactly. Oh man. Oh, let's go back. What's number 3? What do you think? Number 3 of 1984. Only 41 years ago.
Let's see. What's the
we'll ask you
Love
your age.
Shack?
Love Shack?
What year did that come out?
Ooh. Could it be the Love Shack? Oh. I always feel like watching me. They got no privacy. Don't record that.
I did not know that was Rockwell.
It's Rockwell, yes. Yes, it is. We'll get to number 2 here in just a moment.
Nice.
Bang. But this brings me to like today's age and everything else is that when you're out there playing shows, and I want to say like around Fargo and everything else, but when did you start actually playing out live? Maybe that's a better
like me
question
in general,
to start
or like the band.
Yeah, you in general.
So
what you've observed.
My first gig was right around when I was like 15, 16. I didn't really start playing shows though until I started like going to college.
Okay.
I went to college for music at Bemidji State actually to be a choir teacher.
Oh, nice.
And here I am.
But, the ladies from Bemidji.
Yeah.
Up there many times.
And I never finished my degree, but it is one of those things like I feel like I wouldn't be where I am without the education I had in music. You know what I mean? I feel like it definitely made me a better musician learning things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially from those professors. But it was when I started going to college. I met an artist named Shannon Murray. She still lives in Bemidji, and she was like she was a folk artist, like activist type person, and she really opened my eyes to like what DIY music is and like how to market yourself as a musician and like book your own shows. Like that's one thing is like a lot of people wait for things to happen to them, and then there's people that make things happen. You know what I mean? And
yes,
the people that make things happen, that's how things like it's much not easier, but it is. You're gonna have more momentum if you're making it happen versus waiting. Like we live in a different time now where it's like you're not going to play a couple gigs and then a record label is going to find you. You know what I mean? Like you need to put yourself out there.
What are you talking about?
That's not saying it couldn't happen.
The Germany people found you.
Yeah, right. But I mean, that's a small label. But like, people still have this kind of like what I would consider like a classic music industry idea of how the music industry works, and it is much more in the artist's power nowadays to like put out music. You know what I mean? Like, and it is a lot more profitable nowadays to actually do it independently. The thing about labels that really help is get those connections, whether it's like a person that's booking in Europe or like get you in a magazine that's going to get seen or get a TikTok influencer to name drop you, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's one thing that I thought was really funny last year I noticed was like, you could make like a sponsored ad on Facebook and maybe get like 20 interactions and maybe drive some traffic to your page or whatever. But it's like if you get one TikToker that's like super well known to name drop you, it's like boom, here's another 500 likes. It's really funny how that works.
Interesting.
That happened to us a couple times where like we didn't pay for those either. It's just like sometimes people would include us and they're like, here's 5 artists from North Dakota, and it's literally a bunch of different genres, but then they mention us. I can't remember their name. I literally had like friends texting me and they were like, oh bro, congrats on being on so and so's TikTok, and I'm like, never heard of them. You know what I mean? Like, but then homie's got like 2 million followers, so it's like a couple hundred of them find you.
That's awesome.
It's kind of funny, and that's one thing too is like, yeah, the game has changed. You know what I mean?
Was that just going out and putting the footwork in, doing the miles, meeting people, and all that?
I feel like it is.
Or
yeah,
just
we really pound the pavement. We're a big pound the pavement band and believe in the live show.
Yes.
You can find any kind of band online, but it's like getting that live show experience, and like there's a like an electricity I like to think we capture when we're playing, and like I feel like every great band takes over whatever stage they're on. Doesn't matter if you're a cover band or a metal band or whatever. An EDM artist, like when it's your time to be on the stage, it's your stage, and you can really tell like the great artists, it is their stage, and that's one thing we try to do is make it our space.
Oh, so I got a few more questions for you, but we gotta go. We gotta get these songs figured out here. Okay, so we got number 2. Mid-March 1984.
We Are the World.
We
Just kidding.
are the world.
Actually, did that come out in like 2000?
We are
gonna
the
say, I'm
children.
pretty sure that
No,
came out
you're
later.
pretty close.
Is that close?
You're pretty close to where that would be at. But it's Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
I had a feeling it was going to be that
by
too. That was
Cyndi Lauper.
dang.
Girls just want to. Yep. Me singing.
These are like a lot of songs I play at weddings.
Exactly.
You know.
It's from the era of, it's from the old Gen X era. That's why I always push the old Gen X stuff. Not these Gen Zers or whatever else. What are you, a millennial then?
I am a millennial, yeah.
A millennial. Well, we won't hold that against you.
I was born in 90.
1990.
Yep.
Oh my
I'm a
gosh.
90s child.
Man, I can.
learned
I
to
was
be-
in high school in the 90s. Basically doing this stuff. Yeah, except back then there wasn't many places to play.
Yeah.
And like they had the one high school band that got to go out and do things. But I'm going to ask you about the crowd sizes that you normally see. I'm sure it's different doing the tour stuff and everything else, but it's like, do you see a decline or an increase of people participating in concerts these days?
I feel like it's definitely getting better
Okay.
from when COVID kind of happened. I feel like after COVID stopped, there was like a huge increase because everyone was kind of, hadn't been out for a while.
Yeah.
So shows were kind of packed originally, but then it kind of dissipated. And now I feel like people are finally kind of got their, they're making plans to have plans again. So, but it really depends on the
That's
market.
a good way to say
Yeah.
it. Making plans, have plans.
But I mean, for us, I consider us I don't know, like a B tier band when it comes to like, B or C tier band when it comes to metal. Where it's like if we play like Long Beach, California, for example, we've played there before and had like 7 people,
Yeah.
But that's also because like California is a super busy place. It's there's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, and you're doing original stuff too. Tough
But
stuff.
then it's like, then we'll play, Billings, Montana and get like 250 people, you know what I mean? So it's like in the B market, so to speak, I feel like we're a B band and we do best in B markets. The places that don't get a lot of live music, I feel like is where you're going to get a lot of people, like Boise, Idaho, places like that,
interesting.
Ohio.
Boise, Idaho doesn't have a lot of live music?
No,
Really?
no, not for metal at least.
Well, that's still, I don't know. Used to go out there all the time in the 80s and some 90s when the grandparents were there.
Utah as well, like some of those, kind of what people would say are flyover states. Those are our favorite places to play. I mean, I feel like the coast, it really depends on the venue you're at and who's on the bill with you. It really kind of determines that turnout,
Where the draws at.
Yeah. But for us, like I said, it really depends on the day. Obviously, Thursday, Friday, Saturday shows are pretty much double what a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday would be on tour. If you get 100 people out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, as I remember, we were doing the original stuff down in the day. We were recording out of a place called Orphan Studios down in Cities, where Kid Johnny Lang recorded his album down there and Lie to Me or whatever it was. And we got onto this. Well, that got us into the thing where you're able to play at the 7th Street Entry for new band night on a Tuesday night. And the thing is that you had to go out, and I think it was just a giveaway for tickets. I'm not sure if you had to actually pay for them, but you have to have at least, 100 people come in on Tuesday night with your ticket in order to get bumped up to Wednesday. And that's kind of how they did it.
Yep.
Until you got to Friday and Saturday, and then you're starting to look at getting to the main stage on the First Avenue there.
Yep.
But
and that's one thing about us too, is we're a lot more, we're kind of like an oddball band where it's like we're very direct to our fans. It's like we do play, even when we're on tour with people, we'll have our fans and then like people that are wearing our merch coming to shows, which is really cool. We still have like the I Am tour we did. That was one where it was like
nice.
It was a lot of people there for I Am and like maybe 10, 15 people there for us, I always appreciated our fans rolling out. New York was funny.
Bands,
New York was actually funny because I feel like we definitely had a lot of people in New York there for us. But like, some of those support tours you're doing, you really are like not playing to your crowd, You're constantly trying to win over the crowd.
Well, yeah, that's how you pick up Pick up people for your crowd.
And I mean, back to like, you know, kind of what I was saying, like Long Beach, you know, when we played there that last time, we had like 7 people. And it's like, honestly, it doesn't matter if it's 3 or 7 or 200 people. Like, you never know who those 7 people are, especially in California, let me tell you. And there was one person I met at that 7-person show that actually is like a very good friend of mine now. And it was just kind of like a coincidence how that all played out. But last time we were there, we actually stayed at his house. He kind of put us up. So that kind of, you know, even though it was kind of a dud show, it really worked out the next time we came to town. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Very nice. Very nice. There's a lot of wisdom coming
Shout
from
out David Martinez.
Shout out to David.
Yep.
Mr. Martinez. A lot of wisdom coming out of you, sir. I'm really liking that. But we still got to figure out what number 1 is. And number 1 was number 1 on the billboards here at this point for 4 weeks in a row.
Like a Virgin.
Like a Virgin, Madonna we're going with. I like the thought pattern. But unfortunately, it was Jump by Van Halen.
Bro. I'm a poser, dude.
I just wonder how long that stayed at number 1. I'm sure we'll find out shortly.
Never heard of him. Just kidding. I used to talk a lot of smack about Van Halen, actually, just because.
Oh, I bet.
Back before I like listened to Van Halen, you know, when I was like a teenager, because like that was one of those guitarists that like when I would meet other guitarists, they were constantly like, "Oh, dude, Van Halen this, Van Halen that," and I'd be like, you know what I mean? And then it's like as I got older and started like learning some of his techniques, I'm like, damn, homie's pretty good.
How'd you do that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And it's funny because like even listening to Van Halen like on the radio and stuff like that, I didn't even know I was like listening to it. You know, that was the same for me with like Judas Priest and like Scorpions. I had no idea that was the bands I was listening to. I was just listening to like a CD that my brother had. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So certain bands, like I kind of found out it was that band after I'd listened, like months after I'd listened to them.
You're not alone on that.
Yeah.
I remember the best tickets I ever had to probably one of the not so fun shows I've been to was Boston.
Nice.
At the Fargo Dome, we had second row centers. My girlfriend at the
Wow.
time's father was driving limo and drove the band, so they got these killer tickets.
That's awesome.
And I get there, and it was like they're playing all their tunes, but it was like verbatim from the CDs.
Yeah.
So to me, that's boring. I want to see a band. I want to see the banter. I want to see what they do. I want to see the show. The music's already sold, and they're playing it like verbatim. They might as well just turned it on, just stood there, and I can't remember where I was going with this, but it was just, it wasn't that exciting.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. But I do have the main question for you of the evening here, before we tie it all up and all that other stuff, is that since you've been around quite a bit, and that's really fun getting to know about all that, is that what are the times now that you see that most people are coming out? Now, I'm sure you're mostly working with a younger crowd, but we've been noticing that there's been this trend of people coming out earlier to see shows and then being able to leave earlier.
Yeah.
Like almost to 4 in the afternoon to like
Yep.
8 in the evening, and that's like a big prime spot now,
Yep.
maybe. That's kind of the theory.
One thing we've been doing is like 3-band bills
Okay.
and like 4-band bills. So, and the 4-band bills, like the first 2 bands have kind of pretty shorter sets, more like 25 minutes. So like, yeah, like a lot of our shows, it'll be like doors at like 5 or 6 and then show at like 6 or 7 and then hopefully wrapping up around like 10:30, 11. And it really depends on the show. You know, if it's like a really like death metal show, they tend to really be a little bit later. But if it's more of like a, you know, like a hardcore show with like a lot of younger kids, yeah, those, you know, they got like school tomorrow. Those will generally be earlier, yeah.
Well, it's that and us old people. We don't like being out till 1, 2
Exactly,
in the
though. That's
morning,
literally what
so-
it is. I feel like definitely shows have been ending earlier, which I like. I mean, especially on tour, because it's like, you know, even if we got done, like, let's say the show wrapped up at 10, you know, we're not loaded up in the bus until like 11. And then, you know, we probably have another hour or 2 hour drive to wherever we're sleeping. And then, you know, we got to be back on the road by like normally 6 or 7, so you're only getting really like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and that's assuming you're not staying up and like partying. We're not like big partiers. Actually, we're all kind of like
the bands that party all the time.
Bro, it's actually pretty funny. Like, I don't know, we're not like super lame. We'll hang out, you know what I mean? But I've definitely we are like old men when it comes to this, because it's like, partying it hurts your body, and if you're on the road for 30 days, you can't party every night. I mean, if you can, you are built different. But like, I'll normally party like maybe 2 or 3 days out of the tour, and like partying for me is having like 2 beers and smoking. You know what I mean? But like, yeah.
Tame by most people.
We've literally had that though, where it's like I remember we were in Florida and our buddy, we got back to the crash spot and we're like literally we immediately all start going to sleep. We have like inflatable mats and stuff like that. We're like getting ready for bed, and our homie is like drinking and trying to like party, and he was like, "Ooh, I'm the mighty Maul, going to sleep in our beds." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm tired. It's like 2 a.m. and I gotta be up at like 8. Like."
Yeah, most people don't get that. It's an actual job.
Yeah, a lot of people think it is just hanging out and partying all the time, but it's like, no, there's a lot of logistics that actually go into
it's like
being
Friday
on the road.
Night constantly.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of takes a little bit out of you.
And it really does like affect your body. You know what I mean? Like, especially performing night after night. That was one thing I was kind of talking about when we got back from tour last time, is like you kind of get the post-tour depression because you're so used to releasing endorphins and adrenaline every time you're performing for like an hour. And then it's like you do that for 30 days straight, and now you're not doing it. So it's like a lot of times when I get home, I will like work out.
Oh.
Or like do something, run or ride a bike or something to like get those endorphins going again. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, if you're just sitting at home, like you will just get bummed out because like your body's waiting for like these feel-good chemicals that you're no longer getting,
Maybe that's the idea. So my big major tour thing was drum corps back in the 90s, where basically you got on a bus and you hung out with 30 to 120 of your best friends for the next 2-3 months. And then by the end of that tour, you're just like, I just want to get away from you guys.
Yep.
But a week and a half later, you're just like, when's the bus leaving?
Yep.
So you just want to get back on.
Yeah.
I miss it so much.
It really is how it is, though. It's like like a week later, you're like, all right, what's going on?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, very cool. Very cool. But thanks for coming on, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm sure we're definitely well over time on here. I have no idea how much time we've actually spent. Let me take a look. I don't think I'll be able to because I'm not that cool with the computers yet. All this fanciness. Nope, can't really tell. But I'll figure it out when we stop this thing.
No worries.
But Jeff, got any finishing thoughts or whatever else? And then you can tell us where we can find you and all the happy, fun stuff on there.
You can find me online at my handle for pretty much everything is at Anthony Lamb Music. Also, AnthonyLamb.com. I DJ weddings. I am a session musician. I give vocal lessons as well, mainly for men. I have done female vocal lessons as well, but I just definitely am easy. It's easier for me to teach the dudes because I am a dude. But I can't really show someone how to sing a high C. You know what I mean? But
High C.
But yeah, and I do other things like I'm an audio engineer and light engineer for acts as well. So if you're touring through and you want a veteran guy to help work your set, hit me up.
Does it all?
Yeah.
So
and then you can find Maul online as well. Our Instagram is Maulnd. Our Twitter is Maul701, and so is our YouTube is Maul701 as well.
Yep, and most of that's in the not comments, whatever, description down below.
Yeah.
Most of that is, but I'll have to get a few more things in there. I didn't really know about all this other stuff that you did there, Anthony. But no, very good getting to know you and meet you and having you come on here. So thank you much for doing this. So this is the Plank Podcast. You can find us all on the Tiki-Tacs down to the Instagrams and all the other fun stuff. Let's see. We got on Facebook. Oh, I was going to try multi-streaming tonight, and I completely forgot to start that. So
do it again.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Round 2. No, but you got to
read 5 questions on the trivia, though. Let's see if I remember.
Those of you don't be cheating on me.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, if your drummer or guitarist has more charisma than your front man, band may be in trouble.
Yeah.
But that's why my band's doing just fine. So until next time.